Pretty much by the title of the video and the thumbnail, you should already know what's inside the package. But nonetheless, I'll go ahead and start opening it up. And yes, very excited to get this. This is the history of Ritchie Valens, Delphi sound, but it's actually a Rhino Records release. So I definitely have memories of this actual box set. My dad actually purchased this probably in the 1980s, probably either 87 or 88, if I recall. So I was watching the movie a couple of weeks ago, and I actually I watched the movie actually through VHS. This is the actual movie that his life is based on, La Bamba. I'm sure lots of people know this movie or heard about it. And I found the actual original VHS tape at a thrift store, so I decided to pick it up because I already had a copy of this movie, but it was the re-release, and I think this is like the original release, if I'm not mistaken. So pretty much when I watched this movie back in the 80s when it came out, I think I watched it at a drive-in of all things. I almost became obsessed as a kid with the life of Ritchie Valens. I guess I could relate a little bit, you know, Hispanic rocker, all those things, and I love music. I fiddle with the guitar, and I think I would like to think that, you know, the origins of that came from watching La Bamba and enjoying this man's music, or teenage boy. All right, let's go ahead and open this up. It's gonna be tough doing it one-handed. I've never seen a box set wrapped up like this. The seller was selling pretty much everything that came with this box set that I recall getting when my dad bought it. I don't think my dad had the box anymore, but I know that he still has the loose vinyls, which is even more exciting because I jumped on the chance to purchase this with everything included. Jesus. Be a struggle to do this one-handed. See if I can pull it off. I'm just gonna have to do it side to side. So I remove the wrapper. All right. So this is in decent shape. I mean, this is definitely over 30 years old. You know, this is not a surprise. I think this even happened to the box set that my dad had. That's also torn off. This is probably the only corner that's not destroyed. All right, so let's see what we get. Yes. So I've seen many copies of this exact set online, and I've never been able to find one that actually had the little booklet that came with the set. So we'll put this aside for a minute because I definitely want to show. It's not a very thick book, so we'll get a chance to see every page. This is definitely a very famous picture of Ritchie Valens. And there's the back of the record. Classic, exactly how I remember it. There's a good look at the liner notes, I guess. Very good shape. Here's a good look at the label for those vinyl records. This is the Ritchie Valens album. I like that Delphi record label. And yes, the one and only concert. There is some footage online that you can see on him on Dick Clark's show, I don't know, American Bandstand, I guess, or in some movie that he was in. But this is actually the only live recording he ever did. Him playing at Pacoima Junior High, which I think is now renamed Ritchie Valens High, Junior High. And yep, Delphi, released by Delphi. It's a good look at the liner notes. And then you have Bob Keene's signature in the back. And here's a listing of all the songs. Very much like I remember this album. And then we have another, well, the last one of the set. Again, in very good shape. I'm like surprised how good of a shape it is. All right. These songs I really remember when I was a kid. So I look forward to playing this on my stereo that I just put together. It's a shame that I can't play any of these music without getting flagged, but oh, and there's the fan club, Ritchie Valens fan club. I wonder if this is still an address that can be used. And there's Bob Keene's signature one more time. Bob Keene was the producer and I guess manager of Ritchie Valens, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so I'm not gonna pull out the vinyls. I mean, I'm hoping that they would be in good shape. Let's see. Let's have a look at the book. So this is the Ritchie Valens and his life story. So I remember this picture, him in the silhouettes. Gil Rocha, I guess he was, I'm not sure who he was. I definitely know he was part of the silhouettes, but I'm not sure if he was the leader of the band or not. And it's a little bit on his life story. Born May 13th, 1941, so his birthday wasn't that long ago. Okay, there's another picture of Ritchie there. Another famous picture. I think this is the one that made it to the stamp. There's a stamp of Ritchie Valens a couple of years ago. Actually, probably more than 20, 30 years ago that there was a stamp released in his honor. And I think that's the picture that they used for the stamp. A little bit more on the article. All right, so I think Gil Rocha, a young San Fernando vibraphonist, was putting together a Mexican combo that came to be known as the Silhouettes. Actually, it was a mixed group, a Japanese tenor sax man, Walter Takaki, two Afro-Chicano brothers, drummer Conrad Nino Jones, and clarinist Bill Jones, sons of a aforementioned William Jones. When Nino Jones sent his friend Ritchie over to Rocha's house for an audition, Rocha at first thought that the light-skinned Mexican kid was white. The blue-eyed kid with a flat top and a bad complexion showed up at my door carrying a funny-looking green and white guitar without a case and a tiny amplifier that somebody must have thrown away. I was almost too busy to listen to him. I wasn't really planning on having a guitar in the band, but when we sat down and played, I knew he really had something. So it's funny because in the movie, I don't know if you recall, this guy isn't well, I think the guy that played, I don't know if it was Gil or not, wasn't very keen on having Ritchie in the group. And I don't know if you recall, but he kind of made a stink about, you know, not letting Ritchie sing at the gigs or something like that. And eventually the band parted ways with him. So it's funny to me to think that that's something that was actually made up for the movie, because I don't recall it being true based on what I read here. After a few gigs, Rocha left the band and Bill Jones took his place as the leader. That's interesting. So I'm not sure if... Interesting. In hopes of improving the group's fortunes, Jones began renting the American Legion Hall in San Fernando for dances. At first, the Silhouettes' two vocalists, Joe Fabry and Emma Franco, did all the singing, but Ritchie gradually stepped forward for R&B solos that got longer as the teenage crowds began responding to him. Since he covered a lot of Little Richard stuff, they dubbed him Little Richie. Before long, he was headlining the band. So again, this is actually what happened, and in the movie, it's a lot different. You know, in the movie, we all know that Richie's mom rented American Legion Hall. So here, they're clarifying that it was actually Bill Jones, the new leader of the Silhouettes, that started doing that, renting the American Legion Halls. So here are the singles. Quite a few singles here. Some of these songs I don't even think are in the movie. So here's some more on the on his life there. And there's Ritchie. Must be one of the posters for his first record that came out, which I guess would be this one right here. Class picture. I definitely remember this class picture that I used to look at quite a bit. Kind of in awe of all these kids and the way they were dressed, because you know, we're talking about at that particular time it was 30 years ago, and funny to think that now it's 30 years later that I actually saw this picture. So which means that this is over 60 years old. Pacoima Junior High School, class of 57. Then we have, if I can turn the page. It's a good picture of Ritchie right there, wearing a suit. And more on his life. Oh, I guess someone stained that right there. I don't know what that is. Still from Go Johnny Go, not believed to be used in the final version. Alright, so I remember hearing about this movie, Go Johnny Go. I think this is one of the times that he played on camera, so if you want to check that out. Well, I guess the movie's called Go Johnny Go. I never seen that. Probably check it out. Ritchie flipped a coin with guitarist Tommy Allsup for his place on the plane and won the toss. Lobby card for the Go Johnny Go movie. Jimmy Clanton is on the left. Never heard of Jimmy Clanton. And there's an old BSR type of record changer player. It talks a little bit about the tour that ended his life in their dance party. So this is a pretty good quote from his manager, record producer. Keaton remembers, I talked with Ritchie on the 2nd of February after his last show. He complained of the extreme cold and wanted to come home. I said, if things are as bad as you say, then I think you should return. I will talk to the agency tomorrow and make arrangements for you to come home. There's not much else to tell about Ritchie Valens. His body was taken back to Los Angeles and buried in San Fernando Mission Cemetery. Just inside the gate, hundreds of people came to his burial services. Among them were several hot rod clubs, really tough gang-oriented groups who sat around his grave with tears openly showing on their faces. One club had even composed a poem to Ritchie's memory. And a sad and tragic ending. And then here's the famous picture of the plane crash site near Mason City, Iowa, February 3rd, 1959. So this says that it was released in 1981. So I guess my dad bought this several years later after it was released. And I remember him getting this brand new, so it was still in the cellophane. And then here's a yearbook picture of Ritchie. Let's see if we can find Ritchie. There's Ritchie right there. Richard Valenzuela. His full name. Right there. I used to always kind of laugh at this guy because that hair. Jim Spradlin. Okay. All right, well, that's the end of it. So I think getting this book was really the treasure, because you always see these records online and they're not that pricey, but it was kind of fun going through that memory lane. Now that I have a very good record player and stereo amplifier, I'm definitely going to enjoy these records. Take a trip down memory lane. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me again. I'm excited for summer to start, because that way I can start building up my catalog of videos and hopefully put some more out there. I'm so grateful for the new subscribers. I hope that you join me for the next couple of videos, and have a wonderful week, and happy summer. Thank you.